Hello and welcome to episode 71 of my podcast all about knitting and crochet in my yarn shop here in Wiesbaden, Germany. I'm Kiko and today is November 5th, 2020. And yesterday I'm recording on a Thursday because I had a bad cold the last weekend and I didn't feel up to recording on Monday, so I stayed home a few days and now I'm here to do the recording, and because of that I won't record an episode next Monday because then I could only show you 3 days worth of knitting and crocheting, so I'll skip the next Monday and then go back to my usual day of recording on Mondays the week after. Okay, so much for that. Today I'm wearing a cowl that's the pattern is called Don't Touch Your Face, and it was designed shortly after the corona pandemic started and people were supposed to cover their faces and not touch their face when they were about. And so that's what this pattern is called. It's a free pattern on Ravelry by Nicolor is the name she goes by on Ravelry, and it's a very nice, quite easy pattern. And it takes one ball of sock yarn, and I use this opal sock yarn with glitter in it, and I really like it a lot. And and the pullover I'm wearing is the pattern is Flax Light by Tin Can Knits, so it could be part of the knit along that I'm hosting at the moment. The only thing I changed with the instructions is that I did this split like collar because the way the flax pullover and the flax light pullover are written, they are the same front and back, and I don't like that too much because sometimes I feel like it's a bit too tight on my throat, so I decided to knit it to and fro instead of in the round, and that I only started knitting in the round after I finished the ribbing, and I'm very happy with it. And then this garter stitch panel is in the instructions, and another thing that I changed is I added another garter rib panel on the sides of the front and back, and I really like those too. I also think it's quite funny how the colors are in different places. So there are lots of blue on this side and lots of purple on this side, and that's always, I think, quite funny with sock yarn, how the colors come out and where they pool or do not pool. That's quite interesting. So that's the Flex Light pullover, and as I said a few weeks ago, Tin Can Knits have revised all the patterns in the Simple collection, and one of the differences that they made is that they not only added a few sizes to the instructions of the flax pullover and the flax light, but they also added, they put in a new set of instructions to knit short rows if you want. So I wouldn't have had to knit this open. I could have added the short rows, and that would lower the front a little bit and raise the back so it sits more nicely or naturally or whatever. So my sister and I are thinking of knitting the flax pullover as part of the knit along that I'm hosting, and I've knit the flax light several times, once for me and several times in baby sizes, but I've never knit the flax pullover with a thicker yarn. So that's something I would really like to do, and maybe I'll start that soon. We'll see. Okay, so much for what I'm wearing. On to finished objects. I have 2 finished objects, three, but the third one's really, really small. So the first object are these socks. I forgot to put them on sock blockers, but doesn't matter. I knit these as part of the Green Socks initiative that's being done by an organization that helps women with ovarian cancer, and from next year on they're going to expand it to all women with any form of cancer. So they ask people to knit green socks or socks with some green in them, and then to donate them, and then they can give them to the women who are ill, and they not only get a pair of socks, but they also get help and information, and yeah, that's the main reason behind these socks. And this pattern was designed by Tanja Steinbach, a well-known German knitwear designer, and she designed them especially to be knit for this organization, but you can use it for yourself as well. You can knit other colors if you wanted to. But the pattern is called Socktober 2020. So I only just managed to finish them within October. So I think I finished them on the 31st of October, and now they're done and they will be donated. And I hope that some woman will have at least warm feet and maybe a little bit of hope. And I hope she'll get well after she received the socks and the treatment and everything that she gets in hospital. So that's the first finished object for today. And then the second finished object are my maize mittens that I knit from the Simple collection by Tin Can Knits. And I used a 6-ply sock yarn by Opal, and I doubled it with a strand of mohair silk. And I first knit the cowl Oats, and now because I still had yarn left, I knit these mitts. Yeah, I think they're really nice. I like the way the ribbing sort of moves to the back of the hand on both sides, even though they're knit the same. They still look like a left and right mitten. And I used a different color mohair silk, which is why this is a bit lighter and this is a bit darker. And I still have yarn left over, and I'm thinking of also knitting the hat. I think it's barley. I think the hat pattern is called barley, and I'll try and knit the hat with the leftover yarn that I have, both from the sock yarn and the mohair silk, and then I'll have a set with the hat, a cowl, and a pair of mittens with the same yarn in the same colors. That should be fun. And the third finished object that I have is only a tiny little object, but it's a crochet dolphin that a customer asked for. And so I just simply crocheted a little dolphin for something completely different. Okay, so that's the finished objects. On to works in progress. And as usual, I start with the socks. I have to admit I did not work on the 2-color green socks that I'm knitting. They're also supposed to be donated, but I didn't get around to knitting on them last week, and then when I had my cold, I didn't come to my shop until today, so I couldn't work on them. But I did work on my 2-color brioche socks, and because I had a lot of time when I was ill at home, and I didn't have that many different projects with me, I knit quite a bit on that, and I decided that they were long enough when I hit that spot. And then I started knitting the toe, and I had planned on knitting a double knit toe from the beginning, so that these socks would be completely reversible, and I could wear this side out or that side out, and both sides would look nice. The first attempt, when I first tried to go from the brioche to the double knit, it was way too small because I stayed with the same number of stitches I had. That didn't work out at all, and then I decided to increase, and I turned every stitch into 3 stitches, which was maybe a bit too much, but I quite like the way it looks. And I then started the decreases straight away, and yeah, I'm now still working out how often or how quickly to do the decreases. Yeah, but it shouldn't take too long to finish the toe, and then the first of these would be done and I could start the second. And yeah, just to show you, this is the other side of the sock, and my plan is to, yeah, I think it's long enough so that I can roll it down up when I'm wearing them, and I can decide which side to wear outside, or I can change it around every time I wear them, something like that. So I'm really happy with the progress I make with these, because even though I'm knitting both strands of yarn at the same time, it still takes quite a bit of time to knit the brioche. And then I started another pair of socks, and that's a test knit that I started sometime last week. The designer is called, or calls herself, Pink Zombie on Ravelry, and she's Pink Zombie Crafts on Instagram. And there was a call for testers, and I wrote that I would like to test, and this is the first sock that I knit. And the design is called Rhombie. It's not out yet, it's still in testing. I'll let you know when the pattern is available. I will link to it on my Ravelry page so you can get it once it's out. And it's a very interesting thing. It's a slip stitch pattern in one color. So I do have floats on the inside, which I think makes them a bit warmer than they would otherwise be. The pattern, I think, only shows if you use a one color yarn. If you have a very busy yarn, it'll probably completely disappear. And it's quite unusual, I think. I knit this with alpaca sock yarn by Hansa Farm, and they're wonderfully soft. And I think it's a quite interesting pattern, and it's a collection of patterns. There will be 4 different patterns. I'm not quite sure whether, I think she's going to release them all at the same time. Maybe they'll be in a little like ebook, or maybe you can buy single patterns. I don't really know, but I know that 2 of the patterns will be toe up and 2 will be top down. I'm doing the top down version, so this is the start of the second sock. I'm just knitting the ribbing now, and I'm not quite sure if I have to finish the second one on time. I know the deadline is not yet over, and I have finished one, so I hope that's enough for the deadline and for her to have feedback. We did find a few little issues with the pattern that she's worked through, and so it should be good to go once it's published. And then I started knitting not really a sock, but like a house shoe. And that's a pattern that I saw with one of my friends. She was knitting house shoes like that, and I thought that was so interesting. I had to have my own, and that's what this looks like so far. So it's the same pattern that you use for these blankets that I've knit several of, several is exaggerated. I knit 1 blanket with this pattern, and I'm working on my second one in this pattern. But because I've done that, I know how to do these squares. And if you look closely, you can see I did not do a stockinette stitch in the middle here, but I did here because this is the front bit, and that's something that I've copied from my friend as well. So I started with this square, and then I added this square, and then you pick up stitches from the sides, and I did those 2 squares left and right. And then I started this square, which will be like the bottom of the shoe. And then there will be 3 more, 1 more square at the back and 2 more at the sides. I thought they just looked so funny when I saw hers. And there's several patterns like that on Ravelry. I don't think I'm going to link them because I didn't really use them. I just, knit them from the picture that I saw. And I'm using a worsted weight sock yarn by Opal. It's a rather old color. I don't really know when I got the yarn. It's been in my stash for quite a while, but I really like the color, and I thought that's a perfect yarn for this project. And so this is my first house shoe. I don't think I've created the project page for that on Ravelry yet, so I don't quite know what to call them, what the project to call yet, but I'll think of something and I'll try and do that before the video goes up so I can link to the project page underneath the video. So that's, I think, all the sock or sock-like projects that I have, but I certainly have more projects that use sock yarn. One of them is the hat I'm knitting for this, what did I call it? Pattern battle with the subscription yarn by Opal. So this is the color that everybody's using. Everybody's using, is knitting a different pattern. And I am knitting this hat, and I came up with the pattern myself. So it's like an original. And yeah, and I finished the pattern, the color pattern for the hat. So I decided to do 2 rows of this flower or clover pattern, and I've started the decreases of the hat. And I think it's so fascinating. If you look at the colors, there are lots of 1 row colors on this side, but if I turn it around, you have this really nice like transition on this side. It's so fascinating. And also the yellow dots that you can see very clearly here, they're also in between the flowers, and they're also down here, they completely disappear. And in the middle, I also have some yellow stitches that are quite visible here, but they disappear here because there's so much orange going on. So this goes to show that you really have to take care on how to pick your contrast colors. Holding the balls of yarn together, I thought the yellow would be so visible and obvious, but depending on where in the color repeat the yellow is knit in, it's either very visible or completely invisible. But I don't mind, it's just a hat, and the main color is or the main motif is very good to see. So the dark lilac, that was a good choice of color. So I'm really happy with the hat. It fits really nicely. Yep, so that's not that much left to do. That should be fairly quick, and I hope to have it finished by next week. The same goes for the next project I'm going to show you, and that's a baby surprise jacket. It's the same yarn weight. It's also Opal. It's the German name is 8-ply. I think it's like a worsted weight yarn or a Aran weight. Not too sure what the difference is between those two. And I'm knitting the baby surprise jacket by Elizabeth Zimmerman. And I thought if I hold it up like this, it's quite easy to see how this is supposed to be a baby jacket. And I am right at the point, I think, I'll have to count the stitches again, but I think I'm at that point where you knit in between the stitches to make the jacket longer without making it wider. And then once those 20 rows are done, I can I then knit all the stitches again, and then you knit the buttonholes, and then I'll be almost done. So yeah, so that's, I think, the first time I'm knitting this jacket in this yarn weight, and I was interested to see how the size would be different to the 6-ply sock yarn. And as soon as that is finished, I will show you the 2 jackets together so you can see how the size comes out differently. I'm only using 1 size needle difference, so I was using the 4.5mm needle for the 6-ply yarn, and I'm using the 5mm needle for this. I think I'll check till next week. I still have quite a bit of yarn left, so right now I am thinking 1 ball of yarn, which is 150 grams, should be enough to finish the jacket. If not, I'll just use a single color to finish it up. Yeah, but so far it looks good, and I hope to have it finished next week so that I can send it off to the recipient as soon as possible. Then there are quite a few things that I didn't knit on any of the, I didn't work on any of the blankets I'm making at the moment. It's 2 crochet blankets and 1 knit blanket, and I just didn't do anything on these. But I did some work before I had my cold on my grey jacket, and that's that. That's the Filda yarn, which is a French yarn company, and I'm using grey and black because I don't have enough of either color to do the whole jacket, so I decided to combine it, and I finished the second sleeve. So all the stockinette bits will be in grey and all the patterned bits will be in black, and I finished both sleeves now. Now I can use up all the grey that I have. That's the leftover of this bowl, and I think 3 more 50-gram balls of yarn. I will use those to knit the front and back as long as possible, and then there'll be a black edge just like on the sleeves, and then the rest of the black yarn will be used to knit the collar, which is going to be in the same pattern as the cuffs. And yeah, I'll be I hope I have enough black yarn to have a really nice white collar that I can fold over, but I'll see that when I get there. So what else? I haven't I don't have a work in progress for my own knit along at the moment because I finished the mittens and I haven't started the hat yet. And as I said, I'm thinking about starting a pullover as well, but there's nothing to show you in this section at the moment. But I can show you the knit along that I'm taking part in, that I'm not hosting myself, and that's the Slipstravaganza knit along. Oh no, before I show you that, I haven't shown you any crochet. I didn't do a lot of crochet last week, didn't do anything on the blankets, but I continued crochet on the sleeve of my Carnaby crochet along. So I think I was somewhere around here last time, so I've probably added like the same amount again, and at the moment I am thinking of adding 2 more color stripes, and then I will probably decide that it's long enough. I'll see when I get there. I'm still thinking of rearranging the colors for the second sleeve, but I'll show you when I get there. Yeah, so I hope to be working on that as well. I always have so many plans for the next week. I can never fit everything in, but you'll see how far I get. And this time I have a bit more than a week again, because I'm not recording next week Thursday, but the Monday after. So I should get hopefully quite a bit done, especially if I stay well, which I am planning on doing. Okay, so the Slipstravaganza by Stephen West, his mystery knit along for 2020. Spoiler alert, I think by now most people will have seen what the shawl looks like, but just in case, I'm showing it now. This was part 1 of the knit along, and this was part 2, and this was part 3. And I think last time I filmed, I had just started part 4, which is this bit. This is the main color and contrast color 3. And then the next part were these triangles in contrast color 2. So they were quite fun to do. At least the first 10 were quite fun, and then the next 10 things were getting a bit tedious, and then I had to do 6 more. I think it's 26 altogether. Yeah, but they're still fun. And then the last bit of the instructions, that was the last clue that came out last week Friday, is a slip stitch stripe pattern that goes along these triangles. And I've knit the first stripe in contrast color 1, and then I couldn't go on knitting because I left contrast color 2 and 3 in the shop, and because I was ill and staying at home, I couldn't continue. But now I'm back and now I'm fit again. I can't wait to start putting the next stripes in. Stephen West designed the shawl to have 6 stripes at the end before you cast off, but he says if you don't want to knit that much, if you don't want the shawl to be this big, you can also do fewer stripes. if you did 3 stripes, you could use every contrast color once. And right now I'm thinking of doing 5 stripes instead of 6, just to make it that much, just a little bit smaller, not because I want it smaller, but because I want it done. But I'll do stripe 2 and 3 as per pattern, and then I will decide whether I want to repeat the sequence of 1, 2, 3. Otherwise, I was thinking of doing 1, 2, 3 and then go back to 1, contrast color 2 and 1. And then because I've only used contrast color 3 once, then I might do the I-cord in my contrast color 3. But that's the plan at the moment. I'm not definitely saying that's what I'm doing. I'll just knit stripes 2 and 3 and then decide from there. And as the rows are really, really long now with many, many, many stitches, like 900 plus stitches, these rows take a long time to knit. And yeah, we'll see how far I get by the time I record the next time. Yeah, so that was everything I knit and crocheted the last week and a half. Even though it's a bit more time than usual, I feel like I've worked on fewer projects, but that's what happens if you're not feeling well, and I think that's okay. And I hope to be able to show you more, I don't know, maybe more projects, but definitely more progress on the projects that I've worked on next time, which will be not next Monday, but the week after Monday. I hope you enjoyed following my projects, and I'll see you in the next one.